Hey fam, this is your resident host, Shannon Jackson from Living Your Life Without Limits. Today's topic is talking about unfinished business. Stay tuned.
Wake up everybody, let's elevate your mind. Live your life without limits, no more wasting time. So don't forget to stay focused while continuing, stay on the grind.
Hey fam, thank you so much for joining me today as we talk about unfinished business. And we all know a little bit about that. But this year, in the year of COVID, many of us started out the year, including myself, with so many goals that we wanted to accomplish. But because of COVID, many of those things got sidelined. And it's caused a lot of frustration and anxiety for many people across the country and across the world. So I want to talk about how do we get focused again. Now, unfinished business by virtue of its definition means it's something that isn't complete, it isn't settled. And each and every one of us may have some areas in our life that we're dealing with unfinished business. So it's normal that you might have some of that, right? Maybe you started packing and said, you know what, I'm gonna finish doing this next week, and you never got it done. Maybe that declutter project never got completed. Or maybe you started, hey, I'm gonna go to school, something more serious, and you know what, I just didn't finish. So having unfinished business can be a normal part of your life. However, what we gotta be careful for is that it's not something that's prolonged, that it goes into something else, because maybe there's a deeper issue there. And that's what I want to talk about. Because sometimes unfinished business can paralyze us emotionally and mentally, where we become stagnated and we stop. And we allow things to just pile up, and we get the to-do list, or we get the fact that I'm going to do this, or we get the I can't do this, and we just kind of drift through life. That's where it becomes unhealthy. So here are a couple of key things that I want you to look at when it comes to dealing with your unfinished business. First of all, acknowledge it. Examine what it is. Why am I taking so long to get this done? What's going on with me? What's going on inside of me? What am I thinking about this? Whether it's something you want to do personally, professionally, a relationship that you want to address from past issues, a task, a simple task to get something completed. You'd be surprised. Some people go through life and never complete anything. They'll start and stop, start and stop. That oftentimes has an emotional connection to something that happened, an event, or something somewhere in your life that may have caused you to be where you just never complete a task. I remember going to school with an individual some years ago, and when we used to talk, they kept taking subjects and never completed. They kept skipping their specialty. You may know people like that. They started out in this subject matter and this field, and they didn't finish it. Then they started out in this, and then they started out in that. But nothing ever closed or no completion. They were just constantly going to this, going to that, because there were deeper issues that they had not addressed. So the first thing we need to do is take stock, take inventory, evaluate. Why is it that it's taken me so long to finish this or get resolution to this issue? Secondly, conquering fear. We all have some things that create anxiety or fear, especially when it calls us to make changes or go forward. The first thing we think of, it's so hard. Or I'm so tired. I don't have enough. How am I going to do this? You have to care enough to conquer your fear of why you're not following through to pursue your goals or finish that task. It's so important. Many times, the very things that we're fearful of never even come to fruition. It never comes to pass. And yet we let time and time come in between before we complete it. So you're gonna take stock, meaning evaluate. Then you're gonna look at, why am I fearful? What's holding me back? Why do I not want to complete this? The next thing is that you need to make amends. Sometimes unfinished business involves others, where there's disconnect in relationships, or we're holding unforgiveness, animosity, tension in past relationships, whether it be personal or professional. And it's time to have a soul cleansing because it affects you, believe it or not. Sometimes having personal disconnects, especially if it was events and issues that happened in our childhood, early on, traumas and events, can cause us to psychologically affect us, where it affects our ability to grow and be productive, even in our professional lives, as well as other personal relationships, because we have unresolved issues. We have trust issues, we have anxiety, we're still hurt, we haven't forgiven. So it's important for you to make reconciliation and amend. Oftentimes I used to tell people all the time, forgiveness is not so much for the individual, it's for you. It's to free me from whatever is hindering me, because it's holding me emotionally and I may not even recognize it. So you may be bound and having issues with unsettling things and not getting tasks completed from something that happened years ago, 10, 15 years ago. Maybe someone said something to you that stopped your growth, that stunted your growth and your ability to go forward, told you something or said something psychologically that said, oh, you'll never be good enough, or you'll never be able to get that done. Oh, you'll never complete high school. You'll never complete college. And you held on to that. And every time you got ready to finish something or get something going, that thought came back and you just said, you know what, I'm not going to do it now. So you want to make amends. You have to start somewhere. You can't stay in that same state of unfinished business, always wanting to go somewhere and never having an end point. It is so rewarding. Look back over your life, over something simple, a task that you said, finally, I got it done. Yes, I got it done. I got that degree. I finished that task. I finally cleaned that garage. Whatever it might be, I finally met a goal that meant something so dear to me. And this year, so much loss, so much discouragement. But I want to remind you, you still have unfinished business. And before this year is up, it's time to set the reset button in your life. Said, all right, this is what I said I was going to do. Some things were within my control and some things were out of my control. COVID messed up a lot of things for a lot of people. It disrupted a lot of goals and different things you had for your life. Okay, you had nothing to do with that. But you can set the reset button. You can say, this time next year, I'm gonna be in a different place. Okay, I didn't accomplish A, B, and C. It's over with. Call it a wash for 2020. But 2021, I'm going all in. I'm gonna give it my best. There's a scripture that said, forget those things that are behind you, all the pain, all the hurt, all the loss, and reach for those things that are before you. I want you to end this year understanding, despite everything that had happened, your best days are ahead of you. And if you just take this moment and reset your mind first, because it starts in the mind, and prepare your heart that I'm going to do it next year. And make sure the goals are realistic. Make sure you're invested in it, because maybe some things that you set in the beginning of the year, you really weren't invested in it in the first place. So remember, as we're closing this out, this year may be gone, but all is not lost. This is your opportunity to reset the button, take stock and evaluate where you are, confront your fears, turn your fear into faith, make amends. Just like you, I suffer loss. The loss of my mother was the greatest loss for me in 2020. If anyone would have told me I came into this year having a podcast and losing my mother, I'd have said, you out your mind. But even through that, I had to close some things, the hurt, and hold on to the memory of the love and the values that she instilled in me, and reset my own mind going forward. If you enjoy this topic today, make sure you click the subscribe button and leave a comment. And also visit us on Living Your Life Without Limits on our website, where you can get free resources every month we put out to help you on your journey of health and wellness. As I always say, family, remember to love yourself. Take care of yourself, because guess what? You are worth it. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.